Derek Carr is being screwed over by the Raiders right now. There's no way around it. Derek Carr is being screwed over by the Raiders right now. He's completely emotional in a press conference, breaking down right now. And
Derek,
sorry,
continue.
To finish that, sorry for being emotional. I'm just pissed off.
he knows something's up. And we all know something is up right now. There is no way a team with this much talent should be performing this badly. There is no way a team with such a great quarterback should be performing this badly. But it seems like Josh McDaniels is not concerned with winning games, and it is finally breaking Derek Carr. And Derek Carr has had to get emotional because he cares so much about this team. He cares so much about the fans, and he has given so much to this team. And it seems like he always gets the short end of the stick. He knows something is going on. He knows how talented this team is, and he knows something is up.
I'm just pissed off about some of the things, that a lot of us try and do just to practice. What we put our bodies through just to sleep at night. And for that to be the result of all that effort pisses me off. Pisses a lot of guys off. It's hard knowing what some guys are doing. Like I said, just to practice what they're putting in their body just to sleep at night. Like just so we could be there for each other. And I wish everybody in that room felt the same way about this place. And as a leader, that pisses me off, if I'm being honest.
What would make Derek Carr this emotional? It is not going to be Chandler Jones not performing too well. It's not going to be the O-line not blocking well. He knows something is up with Mark Davis and Josh McDaniels, and he knows that if they are working together and if Josh McDaniels has job security and he is not going to be gone for some time, he knows that his time is probably over with the Raiders and he will be scapegoated this season for the lack of success of the Raiders. Vic Tafur saying Carr pissed off at some of his teammates' effort, but I think this is another indictment of McDaniels and his staff. And the biggest thing that Derek Carr said is these players do a lot to play. Take a lot of drugs, a lot of stuff just to even be on the field, sacrifice so much that the reason why he gets so upset about that, it's not going to be because some guy doesn't play that well. It's going to be because he knows his coach is not trying to win. It's going to be because he knows his coach is not trying to win games. And what is the long-term plan of that? It's completely rebuild. And he knows he was lied to at the offseason. When he signed that contract, when it made it seem like it was a Super Bowl run, he knows he was lied to. That's the only reason why he's going to get so emotional and harp on the fact that players waste their bodies every single week to play this game. You're wasting fans' time, and the Raiders have wasted Derek Carr's career. This dude just got back to the top 100. We've seen him ball out. They've wasted his time in his career, and I feel like he could sense that something is coming to an end. Davante Adams, also very awkward in the press conference, not able to say much. Dude is literally biting his tongue.
I mean, ain't no magic message. It's just, we're gonna keep what was said in-house. Wasn't nothing crazy, but I mean, just, we had a conversation we have as a team, and that's kind of that. I don't know.
And Derek Carr is not wearing Raiders gear in this press conference. He always wears a Raiders shirt, and I'm right here with you. I'm going to wear Fresno State. I'm not wearing a Raiders gear after that horrible, embarrassing loss by Josh McDaniels, getting out-coached by a guy who's never coached a game in the NFL. In Harvester Sports, Derek Carr's nephew. This is telling. To me, this just shows. You think Derek Carr doesn't talk to his nephew about certain things? If the Raiders don't make a coaching change after this game, they simply do not care. And I think they know, and they're smart enough. They're smart young men that this coaching staff and this owner, quite frankly, doesn't give a if we win any games. They are trying to lose games. They are trying to lose games on purpose. That is exactly what is happening. The players know it. Everybody knows it. Nobody could say it out loud because you're not allowed to tank. And if Josh McDaniels is not fired, that's exactly the fucking plan. That's exactly the plan, because there is absolutely no reason why he should not be fired right now. Max Crosby, y'all don't deserve this. Raider Nation, I love y'all. What is he trying to say? You don't deserve this? Is it just about, oh, we don't make a play here and there? No, he knows something is up. He knows there is some type of tank happening right now. You don't deserve this because it should not be happening. Now, if we didn't have the right players, then okay, whatever. It's on the players. But we know the only thing that's really changed from this year and compared to last year is the fact that we have all the same players plus Davante Adams plus Josh McDaniels. That's the only difference we have. Darren Carr, Raiders beat, talking about Derek Carr tearing up during the post-game press conference. How much can a man take? How much can a man take every single year when we don't have a complete team for Derek Carr? And when this owner is not straight up with Derek Carr about the plan every single year. Tank year 2018, looks like we have another tank year, and it looks like Davante Adams and Derek Carr were straight up lied to during this past offseason. David Carr reacting to Derek Carr's emotional press conference, talking about how tough this season has been, saying preach. There is some message that Derek Carr is trying to send to us. He cannot say everything straight up, but it seems like this coaching staff, even according to Vic Tafer of The Athletic, who's around the team, is a reporter saying it seems like an indictment of McDaniels and his staff, and it seems like Derek Carr, according to Sean Reed of The Athletic, is also going to be the scapegoat for this upcoming season. All eyes are on Josh McDaniels. Guys, I want you to pretend you're talking to the Raiders. Pretend you're talking to Mark Davis right now in the comments. Tell him who should we move on from after this year? Is it Derek Carr or Josh McDaniels? I already know how you feel. I talk to Raider Nation almost every single day. I know how you feel. I know you're not confident with this coaching staff. I know you don't believe that in just a matter of months after last year compared to this year, all of a sudden Derek Carr just got worse. No, this offense is trying to lose under the leadership of Josh McDaniels. The chances are much greater that Derek Carr, who was overcome with emotion in the postgame, will take the fall for this miserable season. That's what it seems like is happening. We called it so long ago. We said it seems like the Raiders are tanking. People said, oh, you're a stoner, you're a crazy tinfoil hat. Well, look at what's happening right now. Derek Carr is upset at the press conference. The Raiders continue to lose. They can't even beat a guy who's never coached an NFL game before, who said the Raiders look horrible on October 30th. You can't even beat that guy. And it has to be that we are tanking. There's nothing else other than Josh McDaniels is so incompetent. And Mark Davis, you go and you meet up in the locker room. You have a talk in the locker room. Something better change. Something better change Monday. And if it's a Derek Carr change at quarterback, then you, Mark Davis. You have totally ruined his career. You've totally done nothing to help him. You've totally screwed him over and lied to him and tricked him into signing this contract this upcoming season when you and Josh McDaniels knew you weren't going to try to do anything special. And guess what? As long as people like me are around, we're always going to call out the BS on what the Raiders are doing. You cannot hide from us and this channel. You cannot hide. We know what you're doing. We've been following it nonstop. You better make the right call. There's one guy who needs to be released this upcoming Monday, and we all know exactly who it is. The whole entire fan base is letting you know who it is. And if you don't do it, you've turned your back on the fans and you've turned your back on the one guy, the quarterback, Derek Carr, the only guy who's stuck through with this franchise, even though this franchise has given him nothing but shit. This franchise has given him AB in 2019 and Paul Gunther in 2020 and Damon Arnett in 2020. That is all this franchise has done for Derek Carr. They have not given him shit. And if you're going to turn your back on the one guy who, even though he could go somewhere else and ball out, even though he's had opportunities to go somewhere else and ball out, he is stuck with this team and said, I want to be a Raider and I want to retire a Raider. And if you put a knife in his back, then you, Mark Davis. I hope you lose the team. I hope Roger Goodell sends you to St. Louis. I don't know what, but screw you if you're screwing this guy over. But on one level, if the Raiders do move on from Derek Carr, they better hope this is the solution. Because if you do something this big, if you do something this messed up, you better hope it works. And based on the coaching of Josh McDaniels, I think most of us will agree there is no way in hell anything this guy does, anything this guy touches at the head coaching level will lead to a success. Because when you do things like this, when you have a 2nd and 2 and then you go and you run the ball, it fails. Oh, you go and run the ball again on 3rd down, it fails. Well, what does genius Josh McDaniels decide to do on 4th down? Let's run the ball another time. And it is just this kind of play calling. This is when you're in Colts territory. Hey, you have an opportunity to possibly win this game and you go ahead and make decisions like this. That is when fans start to think you are not trying your best. You are wasting the bodies of these players. You are trying to tank. You're wasting the money of these fans. We do not trust you, Josh McDaniels. We do not trust the play calling. And we better hope that you're not tanking. And if you aren't tanking, you gotta go because you just suck. And at this point, why should Josh McDaniels not be fired? Mark Davis maybe probably made a stupid decision and gave him too fat of a contract, because Mark Davis is prone to make a lot of stupid decisions. I mean, the haircut is one thing, but there's a lot of other things he does that is just straight up stupid. And if you did give him a fat contract, you know what? At this point, you still got to get rid of the guy, and you got to pay for your mistakes, Mark, and maybe get a cheap coach, a young coach out of college to run this team, because I cannot look at this TV screen every Sunday and see Josh McDaniels on the sideline, because I know we're screwed. I know we're not going to win the game with Josh McDaniels calling the play, managing the game. And at this point, it's not funny anymore. I was laughing during the game because of how poorly the Raiders were performing. But now, after seeing Derek Carr's press conference, I mean, I kind of got like a reality check of how real this is for players and how real this is for fans, having to sit through and go through with this. But to be honest, mainly the players, because of the physical pain you go through going through this. And you go out there and your defense lets Matt Ryan look like Lamar Jackson and get a huge run, the longest rushing yards of his career. The defense is playing soft zone, just letting everybody every week pick them apart. And then you have an offense that when the moment matters, when you need a clutch play, they call a play that will totally put you in the worst position possible. Even these trick plays, we still keep getting them. Oh, attempted wide receiver pass to Davante Adams ends up in a holding call. You got all these penalties going on, and it just seems like Josh McDaniels is not invested in winning. In his press, look at Derek Carr's press conference compared to Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels doesn't give a shit.
It's like a broken record. Appreciate the fight that our guys have, and congratulate the Colts. They obviously made a few more plays than we did. But we're going to have to learn how to take some of these close losses and make some of the plays that we need to make throughout the course of the game. It doesn't just come down to the last drive.
Like, I do not see how you can go out there, lose to a play caller on offense who's 30 years old, who's never called plays in the NFL, lose to a head coach, Jeff Saturday, who's never coached a game in his life, and then lose to Matt Ryan, a QB who's struggling, who was benched just a few weeks ago. And now the buyout may be the only thing saving Josh McDaniels from becoming New England offensive coordinator next week, the buyout of the Raiders. We know Mark Davis maybe doesn't have that much cash to pay the estate tax, the death tax, in case Carroll Davis passes away. But we know that Magic Johnson has inquired about buying a piece of the Raiders. Maybe ownership should change, and maybe that should change, because if Mark Davis is going to continue making these decisions, continue letting anybody take over the team and let them do whatever they want, even if it's a complete disaster, then Mark Davis, maybe you're not ready to own an NFL team. And maybe that's why Al Davis hung on to this team until he died, because he didn't trust Mark. The feeling in the locker room was very intense. No matter what, Josh McDaniels has lost the locker room. I do not think that this tense moment in the locker room, I do not think players are looking at Derek Carr and being like, oh, he's the problem. Some people are saying that. I do not think that's the case. They've seen this guy ball out in practice. They know how good Derek Carr is. They've seen his resume. And when you look at the way Davante Adams has stared at Derek Carr during the game, they look at each other, they look confident, they look stoked to play together. And I do not think this locker room is upset because of Derek Carr. I find that highly, highly unlikely. Derek Carr had a couple throws that could have been a little more placed, like perfect, maybe instead of a little bit too far in front, maybe a little closer, but he really gave his receivers an opportunity to win the game. Even Foster Moreau in the end zone, drop pass there, Derek Carr put it in the only position it could be placed. I just don't understand. And you know what? The majority of the fan base does not blame Derek Carr. I know. I talk to the fans. I listen to the fans. I know they do not blame Derek Carr. We know there's one problem here, and that's the thing. If Mark Davis doesn't address it, if Mark Davis doesn't fire Josh McDaniels, then you should not spend any money on the Raiders at all. I'm not spending any money on the Raiders, and I think for some of my next videos, I also might just wear a Fresno State shirt at this point until there's a decision made on Josh McDaniels and him no longer being the coach of the team. I am not going to wear a Raiders shirt. Team, we were a playoff team last year. Don't try to listen to those lies by the media that say this isn't a good roster. This is a plenty good roster to not have this shitty of a record at midway through the season. Don't listen to those lies that people say, oh, this roster. No, this roster got to the playoffs last year. This roster has people who've been in the Pro Bowl last year. Don't listen to that. It is one guy who has destroyed this team and will continue to destroy this team as long as he is the coach. Either way, guys, you don't deserve this. You don't deserve this at all. Let Mark Davis know how you feel in the comments. Let me know who you put this on. And even if you put this on Derek Carr, feel free to comment. If you think, let me know. Let me know where Derek Carr messed up in this game, because I'm struggling to find it. Where did he make the critical errors in this game? Let me know in the comments below. But we deserve better, man. We deserve better. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep tonight. I'm going to be thinking about what's happening. When is the change going to happen? And we will let you know immediately when a change happens on this channel. So make sure you do subscribe so you do know what's happening. We will be reporting on it immediately. I think a change has to happen with the coaching staff. Who knows if a change will happen elsewhere? But if it does happen, If something does happen to Derek Carr, I really hope he plays for another team and makes Mark Davis and Josh McDaniels pay for this. Like this video if you haven't already. Subscribe. Peace out.